right, good morning everyone. It's been a while since I made a video. I don't know if you care, but I'm gonna tell myself this. Because, well, maybe it's relevant because it has to do with what I'm gonna share. Because of fear and because of apprehension, because of sluggishness, guilty, part of what I'm gonna share today is that the Lord is going to bless so many of his followers that are walking in the light and genuinely trying to minister to his people from a place of love, from a place of like fresh outpouring. Like there are people who carry the light and just are eager to deliver that light and to just like keep sharing it, pouring it out, all of this stuff, but from a really honest place. And I have been sensing this theme for a little while now, and I keep getting prophetic words about it. I keep seeing videos about it, and I'm like, yes, Lord, like I believe you. Like it was just confirmed and confirmed and confirmed. And I knew that like my obedience was required to receive this. And I know that might sound like works-based faith for someone, but hang in there. Anyway, I had this let me relax. I had this very sure feeling, knowledge, whatever. Just this knowingness in myself. I'm like, the Lord wants to bless me. And if I put something out there, he will bless me. And for some reason, and I didn't put this together until literally this morning when the Holy Spirit was like uber convicting me, that I haven't been doing that. I haven't been putting anything out. And I'm not just talking about like videos. I'm just talking about life. Like I have been letting myself get distracted and procrastinating with other things. Like I recently moved into a place, recent as in like a few months now. But like, you know how it feels really good when your place is like all set up. And I felt some permission to do that. I don't think that was a bad thing. But then I like kept prioritizing that. I was like, let me just optimize this a little more. Maybe they just make this a little bit cozier, a little bit more like me. Let me exchange this, blah, blah. And so quickly, a good thing, a neutral thing can turn into, if you're a procrastinator, if you have a history of procrastination, it can turn into just mega distraction. And so that's exactly what happened. And I started to be just very sluggish. I really hate admitting that as a sin, but yeah, what other word is there? But I just like stopped working for the Lord, and not working from a place of like, I need to work like in order for him to love and approve me. No, just like we're called to work. We're called to serve. We're called to steward and till and take care of the land so that it grows plentiful and fruitful. And I just wasn't doing that. I was not tilling. There was no gardening tool in my hand. And so, yeah, I was feeling really convicted about that this morning. I was like, yeah, you're right, Lord. I am guilty of that. And I didn't realize it was coming from this place of apprehension where I'm like, you would think that if the Lord was like, whatever you put your hand to, I'm going to bless, that you would get excited from that kind of freedom. Theoretically, right? Apparently it was not me. I think I was excited initially. I was like, that's so cool. Like I'll get to do like a dream job. I'll get to like serve the Lord and not have to work, like keep working jobs that just don't fulfill me or sustain me. Because I've done plenty of that. And I was like, that's fine for a season, but I don't really want to go back to that. And the Lord was like, you don't have to. Like you can do dream jobs. You can like dream with me, work with me. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then I started to get, I don't know if it was decision fatigue or intimidation or what, but I was like, well, what do I put my hand to? Because whatever I put my hand to is going to succeed. And then I'm like stuck with it. And so, okay, hearing it now, I'm like, okay, that was like just indecision. But that was only part of it. Part of it was like, I can't decide because I don't want to like just pick one dream. What if I have 18 dreams, Lord? Well, how do I just choose one? Which led to inaction. But then the other half of that was like, oh my God, I know that I am going, like, it wasn't just that the Lord was going to bless it. It wasn't just that he was going to like give me a little bit of favor. It was so clear and growing increasingly clear that he was going to extravagantly bless it. Like, it might seem like this is overnight, but this has been something he has been growing in me and sharpening me for years, like this extravagant blessing that I'm like sensing. I'm just like, so it was indecision, but then the thing that really stuck me in action was, well, what if I'm not ready? What if I don't want to do this? What if, like, because if it does like seem to happen overnight, I'm like, Lord, how do I deal with that? I'm just a person. I'm just a girl. So yeah, so that is funny that this is like kind of the message that he was sharing today, because life be lifing, and I was like inactive and sluggish for, I don't know, a few weeks. I didn't really do the math. Is it more than a month? I don't know. I don't really want to ask. Anyway, it was like a good chunk of time. And then I got a concussion like 2 weeks ago, which, if you've ever had one, I'm so sorry, first of all. I know your pain. I've had so many concussions in my life. But it is similar to breaking a bone or spraining something or whatever, except for that, like when you break your leg, and whenever I have a concussion, I've had like double digits amount, so I think about this often. But whenever I have a concussion, I always attribute it to a broken leg. But then I'm like, no, because if I had a broken leg, which would suck, don't get me wrong, that's like a much longer term injury usually. I would be on the couch and I would not be able to run or walk or all of these things, and like I would still be restless. I would still want to move my body but not be able to. But the thing with your brain is it's everything. It literally controls everything. It like talks to all your organs to keep you alive. It is like when you exercise, it can cause you pain. When you think, it can cause you pain. When you stare at a screen, it can cause you pain. So yeah, this is probably just like what's it called? Like an imperfect perspective. But whenever I have a concussion, I'm like, man, I wish it was my leg. Because you just can't do anything. And it's so frustrating. Like literally shuts you down. Like literally anything you could think of. I was like, couldn't do it. But yeah, so I got this concussion and I was like, no, because I had just started like changing my morning routine, changing my structure to get like to be more disciplined, because I was feeling that like, oh crap, I haven't been doing a lot, and like I should challenge myself in this. I should grow in discipline. The Lord did not give me a spirit of fear and timidity, but one of power, love, and self-discipline. 2 Timothy 4:7. And so I was like feeling convicted about that, feeling empowered, and then I freaking hit my head. And I was like, dang it. Because it forces my hand to not do anything. I'm like, but Lord, I was just sluggish for so long. How am I supposed to rest now? And I basically tried to not rest with my concussion. And that didn't go well. And the Lord was like, girl, you need to chill. Like this is your body. Like you can't control this one. And I was frustrated because I was like, but I'm ready now. But I think the conviction was like, God always knows what's coming down the barrel. I don't know what the phrase is. Coming down the track. He always knows what's coming. And so he was trying to like get me moving, get me disciplined before this happened, because yeah, long story short, basically I woke up and I was like, oh my God. I was like freshly reminded that the Lord wants to bless his people, in that I don't have anything for him to bless. And this is where the message comes in. If you are like, how long is she gonna ramble? Hopefully I'm done with that part now. It was this like acute awareness and understanding that in order for God to bless you, if you're a believer, if you are someone who is stewarding his spirit, his gifts, his resources at this time to bring light to the world, you gotta have something for him to bless. I know that probably sounds elementary, or maybe it sounds heretical. I don't know, but stay with me. And I was thinking of this as like, Lord, if I put out a video, if I like make a channel, if I do this small thing, like whatever it is, if I were to put out this thing, it's still not me. I am not the favor. I am not earning it. It is not my work that was like, you greatly deserve this. But he was viewing it more as like an empty jar for him to fill. So I was being about, Lord, you're going to bless me anyway, but Lord, you want to do this anyway. And he was like, you either can come empty-handed or come with an empty jar. And those are very different things. And so the scripture that came to mind, there's actually plenty of examples in the Bible. But was the wedding at Cana, which I'm in John chapter 2. For all you Bible nerds out there, open up. John chapter 2. Jesus, this is like before he like really starts his ministry, which basically just means like he's moving and shaking in the world. And he's at a wedding, just for fun, just for a friend or family of friend or something. And they have no wine. It says like the wine has run out. And this is verse 6. And he basically, his mom was like, can you help, please? Like, can you make more wine? So eventually he's like, okay. And so verse 6, it says, now there were 6 stone water jars there for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons, which just means there were jars in the room. There was this problem, and they had this thing that was like not really related, but Jesus said, if you have it, if we can utilize this, I can make the miracle happen. And so Jesus says to the servants, fill the jars with water. And they filled them up to the brim. And he said to them, now draw some out and take it to the master of the feast. So the servants took it. When the master of the feast tasted the water, now become wine, the miraculous part, like having the jars didn't make wine magically appear, but giving Jesus jars filled with water apparently gave him room to move a miracle. And the master of the feast tasted the water now become wine and did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. And the master of the feast called the bridegroom and said to him, everyone serves the good wine first when people have drunk freely, then the poor wine. But you have kept the good wine until now. And this, the first of his signs, Jesus did at Cana in Galilee and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. Yeah, cool story, right? And I've never really thought about that before, of how, like, if there were no jars, could Jesus have done the miracle? I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know how his miracles work. I just know that he can do them, and he does them all the time. I bet he could, but also there's a lot of like order and rules to the world that God has designed, so maybe not. Maybe he does need vessels to operate in, which, whoa, when you think about how we are vessels for his spirit and for his glory. So I felt like the Lord was like, yeah, an empty jar doesn't feel like anything to you, or a jar full of water doesn't feel like you can solve the problem before you, but it gives me something to work with. It gives me something to fill. And as stated before, favor, glory, like extravagant blessing, that is not on us. That is not my power. If you see that happen to me, just know it wasn't me. It was all God. But it takes us like bringing something to him, which I think is an act of faith in itself. Like if you think of another scripture that came to mind was when Jesus feeds the 5,000 and also the 4,000. He does extravagant miracles a couple times. But they are like, he's like, do you have anything? Like, you searched the crowds. Is there any food in the crowds that we could like share from? And one of his disciples is like, well, not really, but this child here has like 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. He's like, that doesn't really feel like it solves this large problem, but Jesus sees it as, I can use that. I can work with that. And so it's actually kind of exciting if you think about it, because we get to be active in our faith. We get to participate in like trusting Jesus, not just being like, I trust you, God, to bless me. He's like, what can we do together? Like, partner with me, sort of thing, which is really exciting because I like to be involved, but also I know my own limits. So I get to be involved in miracles that I have no capacity to like execute, which is like cool. No, just me? I don't know. I think it's cool. But anyway, it reminded me of Nicodemus, which I didn't pull this up in scripture, but Nicodemus is this like really well-read, well-educated scholar of the times of Jesus, Jewish scholar, and he knows his stuff. And he actually meets with Jesus one-on-one and like asks him questions. He's like, are you the Messiah? Because he has been studying like Hebrew scriptures for his whole life, we can imagine. And so he is searching the scriptures for Messiah. He is searching the world for Messiah. And then Jesus is like, hint, it's me, dude. And so he meets with him and he was like, tell me everything. Like, what's going on? Is this true? And basically Jesus ends up extending an invitation to Nicodemus to be like, yeah, man, like, you know the stuff, it's me. Like, that's all I have to tell you is like everything you've been studying, it's pointing to me. So Nicodemus has this opportunity, we imagine, to go with Jesus, to be a part of his early disciples and walk with him as a rabbi. But it would mean forsaking a lot of his current life. So sadly, though Nicodemus, if you study the scriptures, we can imagine that he did think he was the Messiah, he doesn't follow him. And so when I heard this idea of like, I was like, oh my God, you do, like, you're reminding me, Lord, that like you want to pour out blessing and that your blessing is coming. I woke up today and was like, felt the TikTok, like, not TikTok, but like, you know, like the time of the clock. I was like, it's coming soon. And I had this keen awareness. I was like, I have nothing for him to bless. Like, I'm coming empty-handed. There's no jar in my hand. It is empty-handed. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to miss out. Like, if it was like, if you think about like a buffet line or whatever, I'm coming with nothing. I don't have a plate. He's like, I can't pour food into that. I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. So I just had this feeling that I was like, I'm going to miss this like divinely timed thing. I'm going to miss it, even though it's been prophesied over me, because I'm not doing, like, it's like prophetic and it's powerful in the spirit, but like you have to like walk it out in the physical, like in the human side of things. And so I felt like Nicodemus, who was like specifically invited by Jesus and yet misses out, because even if there's a promise, even if there's like the spiritual extending of a hand for a miracle, for blessing, you have to take it. You have to say, I'm RSVPing to your invitation, and my answer is yes, you know? And the story of Nicodemus just like breaks my heart, because I'm like, he knew so much, and yet he was held back by so much, and he missed out on so much. But yeah, anyway, the other one was, I'll put the scriptures that I'm not reading from, or even I can put John 2 in there too, but I'll put it in the description so you guys can look it up, hopefully. But another one that came to mind was, I think it's Elijah. I don't think it's Elisha. I think it's Elijah. But when Elijah needs food, and this one, he runs into this mom and her son, and I think it's like a famine. Like, there's like no food. And she's like, this is all I got, is like a little bit of flour, a little bit of, I think it was oil, a little bit of oil and flour. She was like, and I was going to make one last meal for me and my son, and then we were going to die. And Elijah goes like, yeah, okay, whatever, do that, but would you feed me first? She's like, what? I just said that's all I have and I'm going to die. But she, I don't know, she understands that maybe she was just obedient to the Lord. Maybe she just like felt the Lord's presence on him. Maybe she knew he was a prophet. I don't know. But she ends up doing it. And because she uses what she has, Elisha, like, she makes a meal for him. Elijah and her son get a meal, but then she goes back to the jars and they're full. And he was like, your flour and your oil will never run out. What? Talk about like girl math. That is like kingdom math. That is like spirit math, where it's like, you have so little. You're like, why would I offer you little when it's basically nothing? I'm offering God an empty bowl, an empty jar. And I'm like, God, how is this different than being empty-handed? He's like, but I can fill it. Like, there's something about the filling. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So all that to say, if you have felt a stirring, if you like are, I don't know, if you feel stirring to serve the Lord, to offer up your small, puny first fruits, but with a pure heart, like, this is your encouragement to just do it. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but here I am. And I realized, because there was such fear, like, I don't want to gloss over this. Like, there was such fear in me this morning, because I was like, Lord, extravagant feels big. It feels like up here, and I'm like down here, and I'm just like a little person, you know? And I was like, well, what if he gives me a platform? What if he gives me this? What if he gives me that? Like, just because I know what he's capable of, like, he can turn water into wine. Like, he can take really small offerings and make them huge, miraculous blessings. So I was like, Lord, what if it's bigger than me? Like, I don't know how to handle that. But I had to remind myself, I'm like, I love teaching people about God. I love reading the scriptures, like getting so excited and sharing that with other people. That's so fun. And so if this is an opportunity to do that for a job, do that for a salary, like not have to go back to those other jobs, that's awesome. So I don't know why like the fear was like outweighing the joy. I think the joy was removed from it because I was so intimidated. And also I had to remind myself, like, the Lord is going to be with me every step of the way. Like, the God who's been building this in me, like, the Lord knew this was coming. That is what prophecy is. It's him just, like, he knows the future. He knows, if you think about, like, a dominoes all in a row, he knows that, like, 27th domino is going to fall and where it's going to fall when you hit that first one, even though it's going to take some time. But he's like, I knew that this was going to happen, Christina. So, like, do not fear, because that's what all these other dominoes have been, like, building up to. And also that there are dominoes after this. Like, the same God who fathered me up until this point, the same God who discipled me, who comforted me, who sharpened me, like, he is going to be with me tomorrow. He's going to be with me this afternoon. Like, no matter what may come, hell or high water, like, he is there. And so I'm like, oh yeah, my life's, like, actually not that different. It's actually just the same. I'm actually just, like, living by the seat of my pants and by the hem of his garment. Like, we're just flying through this. So, I don't know. It was a lot of rambling, but hopefully you get from that, like, bring something to the Lord. Think, like, take an inventory of your life, of your heart. Like, what is it that you, like, want to worship with? And you don't have to think big. You don't have to think big. What is a way that you want to worship him that, like, gives you joy to worship him and serve others with? And then do that. Do that small thing, and then watch how the Lord will take your measly little buffet plate and just fill it to the overflowing. Like Elijah says, like your flour and your oil is not going to run out. Like, before you offered it to me, it was going to run out. It was nearly run out. But he was like, no. Now you're always going to have enough to keep making what you want to make. So, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm getting more excited. I was pretty scared this morning, but then it broke because Jesus is Lord and his spirit is so kind and good to me. So I hope that encourages you. I hope that, like, seeing someone slightly chaotic, but hopefully pure in heart, going with the flow is encouraging to you. Like, I'm not perfect and I'm doing it and having a great time. So I hope you can be imperfect and not know what you're doing and have a great time alongside me. So I am excited to see the hand of the Lord on your lives and on my life, and to just see how he reaches all of his lost children, even more of his lost children, with the measly things that we offer him. Because watching him do miracles is super cool, even if we can't control it at all. Like, it's okay. Anyway, bye guys.